Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight, this evening. We have a small crew today. Our usuals, Eddie and Milton and Andrea, they're all at the Congressional Baseball game, which is a really fun event that we take part in every year. So they left it in our hands today. So, we have a special guest presenting for us tonight, Rahel Young. She is uh, USSFCU's retail and compliance. Go ahead, Rahel, tell me.
It's okay.
It's a
No, it
mouthful.
is all right. I am the Director of Retail Operations and Compliance.
Thank you. And
Uh,
she is going to present for us tonight. So it's great because she has a lot of member like experience interacting hands-on with members day to day. And I couldn't think of a better presenter. So I know, and of course, if you don't know me, I'm Carrie Lazar, so we won't spend too much time talking about me. So Rahel has 25 slides to go through. So I am going to give it right to her. She's going to talk about senior scams, the top ones that we're seeing these days, and some ways to keep you safe. So, Rahel, without further ado.
all right. Thank you so much, Carrie. I'm so excited to be here tonight to be able to present this topic because this topic is very close to my heart in a couple of different ways. First, as an individual who work in retail operations, I see members on a daily basis and be able to assist them with these type of situations as well as other financial needs. Also having an elderly parent that hang up on everybody and say, call my daughter. So I'm really excited to be able to present this today. All right, Carrie, so we can start. I'll turn my camera off so I can focus on the presentation. All right, thank you. So we first want to start with type of, give me 1 second. Let's talk about the types of elder fraud by losses in the US dollars. This is just a staggering. Here's a closer look at the top types of scams currently targeting older adults based on the latest FBI elder fraud report. As you can see, the financial losses are staggering, and unfortunately, they are growing every day. At the top of the list is scam uh, investment on scams, which with over $1.8 billion in losses. I cannot believe that. It's just a lot of money going to these scammers. These often involve fake opportunities, promises of high returns, or cryptocurrency scams targeting retirement savings. So they know you have a lot of money, so they know they want you to part away from it. Um, Another one is tech support scams, which convince victims their computer or phone is compromised, caused nearly $1 billion in losses. The next item is the business email compromise and romance scams follow, both using emotional manipulation and false sense of trust. Um, and a government impersonation scam, which often involves fake IRS, Medicare, or law enforcement calls. It has caused over 200 million losses just last year alone. So, one of the things that it is important to remember that these are just reported cases, and many seniors never report scams out of fear, shame, or simply not knowing where to turn. That's why awareness is so powerful. The more we understand these tricks, the better we can protect ourselves, our families, and others in our community. Next, we were going to go to take a deeper dive into these scams, so you can see exactly how they work and what red flags to watch for. So, why seniors are being targeted? Um, I think we mentioned it earlier today. So, as we move into today's topic, it's important to first understand why scammers target older adults so aggressively and why these scammers can be so effective. There are a few key reasons. Um, First, many seniors have accumulated wealth, savings, retirement accounts. They have a lot of equity in their homes, which makes them an appealing target. So there's a lot of money sitting there. Um, the second is social isolation plays a major role. Scammers know that older adults who are isolated may be more vulnerable to emotional appeals and less likely to run suspicious message or calls by a trusted friend or family member. Another area is cognitive decline is another factor. Uh, Even mild memory loss or slower processing can make it harder to spot red flags in real time. And again, the keyword is real time because they want you to act right away. So it's important to take your time. Um, trusting, trusting nature also comes into play. Many older adults grew up in a time where when you could take someone at their word. Scammers exploit that trust by impersonating loved ones, authority figures, or reputable organizations. And finally, once someone has been scammed, they often experience repeated victimization. The information may be sold or shared with other scammers, putting them at risk again and again. You'll be surprised we see that multiple times. Again, that's why education and awareness are so critical, helping older adults and their families understand these risks so that they can better protect themselves moving forward. That's why we do what we do here. Not only we love our members, but we want to make sure we support our community. So let's begin our deep dive into the first scam we're covering today, which is government imposter scam. This is one of the most common and often one of the most frightening types of scams targeting adults these days. In these scams, the fraudster poses as a representative from a government agency, hoping to scare the victim into sending money or personal information. The scammers can take many forms, and they rely heavily on fear and urgency, making the victim feel like they must act right away to avoid serious consequences. So let's take a closer look at the type of government impersonation scammers might use to encounter, that you might encounter. Apologize. Like I said earlier, there are many ways scammers impersonate government officials. Here are a few of the common and the most common ones. So, FTC, the Federal Trade Commission scam, when the caller claims that to be helping you recover funds or reporting fraud, but in reality, they are trying to steal from you. Another one is a Social Security Administration scam, claiming your Social Security number has been suspended or linked to a criminal activity, and you might take action immediately. Again, so they want you to act immediately, so you got to be very careful. And I'm sure y'all heard this before, and I've seen it as well. IRS scams, perhaps the most familiar, threaten arrest if you don't pay fake tax debts or penalties. Again, one of the biggest recommendation I can give is most likely if you're past doing your taxes, anything that happened, you most likely are familiar with it or you would know a little about it. So there's no need to act immediate when it comes to these tactics. Another one is Medicare scams, which that they falsely offering free medical equipment or asking you to verify personal info to keep your coverage. Again, if you did not initiate that call, do not provide any information. Um, and the other scams, impersonators of law enforcement, immigration officials, or even local agencies, all trying to create sense of urgency and fear. The common thread is that these scammers all use trusted government agencies as a weapon against the victim because they know that this generation heavily we're a trusting generation, so they count on that. So, what are signs of government impersonation scams? Here are some red flags to watch out for, okay? Unsolicited calls, texts, or emails claiming to be from a government agency. If they are threatening to arrest you or to apply fines or suspension of benefits. We all know, legitimate agencies do not threaten people in this way. Others may be demanding for immediate payment, especially through untraceable methods like gift cards, cryptocurrency, or wire transfers. One of the examples I would love to give y'all is that me working in this industry for over 30 years, if once you send out a wire, there is no way we can get it back. There is no way you can get it back. So it is imperative that we know who we send the money to, and we don't trust individuals freely with our hard-earned money, right? Um, Request for personal or financial information that a real agency would never ask for, an unsolicited call. And again, one of the biggest words here that I would really like to reiterate is unsolicited. One of the things that I tell my mom is that if you did not make that call, if you did not initiate that request, you do not respond. So that's my big word for today, unsolicited. Another one is urgent pressure to act now and keep the conversation secret is a classic scam tactics. So if you hear those classic words saying, please don't tell anyone, or you need to do this right away, there's no need to do that. So please be mindful of that. And of course, many scammers' messages contain poor grammar or awkward phrases. Another strong clue that messages is not legitimate. All right, so now let's talk about how to protect yourself and your loved ones from these scams. First and foremost, hang up on unexpected calls claiming to be from a government agency. One of the things like I said earlier, my mother will say, call my daughter and hang up in a minute. Another thing that I learned as of Friday from one of my members is that I called her. She said, if the number is not registered, it goes directly to voicemail. So you may even want to use your phone to screen people for you. So that's another thing we can do. So you can hang up on unexpected calls claiming to be from a government agency. Or if you've received such a call, verify independently by contacting the agency using a known official member. So you know if somebody, say from IRS, is calling you, say, okay, thank you, I'll call you back, and you hang up, or you just hang up on them and you go to IRS website directly to and then contact them from that perspective. Because if they have made that call, trust me, there's a note in the system on your account uh, stating that they have contacted you. Okay. Another one is never click on suspicious links in emails or texts, and never provide personal and financial information to unsolicited callers. Again, that word unsolicited. Again, don't do on the clicks. If they anybody that need to get in touch with you will send you information via your mail, or you would know, you'll be very familiar with them because you have initiated a contract or some type of relationship. Uh, Also, watch out for threat of arrest, fines, or benefit loss. For those are clear signs of scams. Again, resist urgency. Scammers are counting on you to be fearful, to get you to act quickly without thinking. As our parents, my mother used to always tell me, say you can wait 24 hours before you make a decision, especially if someone is asking you information. So 24 hours would not hurt. So I will urge for individuals to apply that. And remember the golden rule, Government agencies will never call, email, text, or message you on social media to ask for mm, money or personal information. If you keep these in mind, you'll be far better equipped to avoid falling victim to these type of scams. All right, thank you, Carrie, keeping me warm. So our next scam category is one of the most that can that continues to cause staggering financial losses, especially among older adults. And why is that? As we talked earlier, because most older adults have a great savings account for retirement, equity in their home, or they have assets, so they are easy target for that. So let's go over some of these items. Investment scams are now the single largest source of financial loss for seniors, topping 1.8 billion in reported loss in 2004. Wow. These scams are designed to lure victims with promises of high returns, little to no risk, or exclusive opportunities, often targeting retirement savings. So anybody that threaten your retirement savings, you work hard all your life, I would be very careful saying, to protect it. Um, these fraudsters use fake companies, fraudulent investments, or even legitimate looking platforms to convince victims to part with their money. And once money is sent, it is very difficult or impossible to recover. Now, let's touch uh, a little about some of the most common types of investment scams that target older adults. First, we have annuity scams. These often involve selling complicated or high-cost annuity products that aren't a good fit for seniors, sometimes locking up their money for years or making it very expensive to get out. Next are those familiar investment seminars. I know I've gotten some of those emails and mails saying that you know, inviting you for a free lunch or dinner where they will pressure you into investing something questionable or risky. Another one is real estate fraud is also common. This can include fake rental properties, fraudulent investment deals, or abuse of reverse mortgage. So I would just, it is our responsibility to work to protect what we work so hard for, right? Um, these new scams are coming up as well. Cryptocurrency scams are growing fast. Um, Scammers promote crypto investment that seem exciting and new, but once you send your money, you're done deal. They disappear. Then there's a promissory note scams. These are fake IOUs where the scammers promise a high return, but the investment either doesn't exist or extremely risky. We also continue to see Ponzi and pyramid scams. They coming back, where the new investors' money is used to pay earlier investors. These always collapse, eventually leaving people with major losses. And finally, social media and internet scams. So they have slick websites, online ads, and fake celebrity endorsement promoting investment that simply aren't real. So it's important to remember if an opportunity sounds too good to be true, if someone is pushing you to invest quickly, it's a big red flag. All right, so how can you spot an investment scam before it's too late? Here are some of the common warning signs to look for. First is, of course, promise of high return and little to no risk. We all know when it comes to investment, there's always risk, right? Um, so when they can guarantee you that you make a lot of money safely and no risk, that's a big red flag for me. for most of us. Another one is the pressure to invest right now, and another one, scammers want to move fast so they don't have time to, so that you don't have time to think or ask questions. If the person is unlicensed or vague about their credentials, that's a huge warning sign. Always verify who you're dealing with. As we stated earlier, when it comes to the government agencies, anytime somebody's saying, "Hey, from such and such," go online and check it out for yourself and contact those companies if you are interested in that type of product or service. Another clue, if there is no clear paperwork or explanation, is overly complex. So before you invest your money, ask them to send you paperwork so you can review it thoroughly before you make that investment. And that will also give you an opportunity to share that information to consult with a trusted resource. Um, Legitimate investment will always provide clear, transparent documentation. So watch out for insider tips or promises of secret strategy. As we know, if it's so secret and exclusive, why would they give it to a stranger, right? So we want to make sure we look out for those. Another one is free gift or luxury incentives. Another pressure is tactic designated to get you to emotionally hooked. So if the person is frequently contacting you or being overly aggressive, uh, that may be a big red flag. So watch out for that. And finally, if they refuse to provide verification or avoid giving you regulatory information, that's a sure signal way to walk away as well. If you spot any of those red flags, the best it's best to stop communicating and check with trusted financial provider that way and before you do anything. All right, so what can you do to protect yourself or help your loved ones to avoid falling for these scams? Here are some simple but very effective steps to follow, okay? First, beware of any promises of high returns with little or no risk. We discussed that earlier. If it sounds too, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. We just have to go back to what we told our kids before, right? Um, Research the offer before investing. Look for any complaints or regulatory actions online. You'd be surprised how many scammers leave a trail that you can't find. Next is verify the company. Excuse me. Verify the company and the person. You can check licensing through official sources like the SEC. A legitimate investment professional won't hesitate to give you this information. Another one is get a second opinion. Talk to someone you trust before moving forward with any investment, especially if you're feeling rushed or pressured. And remember, please don't invest if you don't fully understand how the investment works. If someone can't explain it to you clearly, then you must walk away. And finally, stay informed. Subscribe to trusted fraud alerts or newsletters so you can know what the scams are circulating and what to watch out for. Many government agencies have it, as well as your trusted credit union have all that information. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Tech support scams, which we've seen these coming more and more recently. So let's look at the tech support scams, the scam that continues to hit older adults very, very hard. In 2024 alone, these scammers accounted for nearly 1 billion in reported losses, and they remain one of the fastest growing types of elder fraud. So the scammers usually start with pop-up message, phone calls, or email warning there is something wrong with your computer, um, maybe a virus or hacked account that's been compromised. Your device has been compromised. so these messages look urgent and scary and often claims to be from a well-known company like Microsoft, Apple, or even an antivirus provider. Once the scammers get you on the phone or connected to a fake tech support rep, they walk you through the steps to give them remote access to your device. From there, they can steal personal information, install malware, or trick you into paying for fake services you don't need. I have seen it where people have provided access for control, and then they moving money around on their account as if they are themselves. So please be very mindful of that. So let's look for the forms of this scam so you can recognize it more quickly. So first, fake phone calls. Scammers may call claiming to be from Microsoft, as we stated earlier, Apple, or your antivirus company, saying your device has a virus or the problem that needs urgent attention. Then there are pop-ups, as we stated earlier. So if they keep, I know one time I had, what is it for Easy Pass? They must know that when you go through Easy Pass and then say, okay, if you don't pay it, you have a big ticket. So those are the kind of things that you look out for. Pushing emails and texts are another method, as we just said. They send email that looks just like it's from your bank or tech company, telling you to click on the link to fix the problem. But but that link can in fact infect your device or steal your personal information. All right. So if they're not stealing your money, they want your personal information because that also gives them access to a lot of information. Um, some scammers also set up a fictitious website that appeared to be legitimate tech support pages. But if you call the number or click anything on the page, you're dealing with a fraudster. So again, even if you go to irs.gov, make sure you go into the IRS legitimate website, not any fake ones, okay? And finally, there's impersonation scams, where scammers might even pretend to be the following up from a real tech company you've worked with before, to build trust and lower your guard. These scammers can feel very real, and that's exactly why we work how they work. But once you know the common tactics, I'm sure we can become much easier to spot, right? So here are some common warning signs to help you spot tech support scams quickly. Again, unsolicited pop-up calls, emails, text messages. If you don't, if the message you didn't request suddenly tells you your computer's account is problem, that's a major flag. So again, if it's unsolicited, that's the keyword unsolicited. Next, be very cautious of requests for remote access or demands for immediate payment. Legitimate companies, as we know, would never pressure you to give a remote control of your device unless you have initiated the support call yourself and they don't demand payment. So again, unsolicited and never remote access unless you actually need assistance, okay? Demand for gift cards, as we stated earlier, wire transfers or cryptocurrencies. So make sure that if it's not trackable, it's most likely a scam. You might also see urgent threats, I can't talk, urgent threat messages with poor grammar or calls from a fake or suspicious phone numbers. They will try to scare you into acting before you have time to think, okay? And finally, be aware of persistent contact. If you're ignoring the first message and they keep trying to connect with you, that's a telltale sign as well. All right, so how can you protect yourself or your loved ones from tech support scams? So we have some key points here. First is to keep your computer protected. Use antivirus software, firewalls, and browser protections. They won't stop every scam attempt, but it would help block many dangerous pop-ups, okay? And malicious sites. Next is ignore unsolicited text support messages. Again, the big word that keeps coming up is unsolicited in any way messages. If you didn't reach out for help, a legitimate company would not contact you um, out of the blue. Avoid clicking on pop-ups or suspicious links. Never give a remote access to your device to anyone unless you personally contacted a knowing company. Again, resist urgency. If it can't wait 24 to 40 hours, there's a problem. Scammers want to scare you into acting quickly to reach the tech support professional. So the a real one would not pressure you or rush you into making any decisions. All right. And finally, we can verify support contact. All right, so let's go to the next one. This one is the most heartbreaking for me, which is the romance scam. This is where the scammers prey on a person's emotions, where they build trust, create relationship, and then using that trust to steal money or personal information. Um, Believe it or not, romance scams cost over 357 million in reported losses last year. And those are just the cases that were reported. Many victims never reported this out of shame or embarrassed or being embarrassed. So how do they do it? These scams typically start online through dating sites, social media, or even through email or text. The scammers will create a fake identity and slowly build emotional connection with the victims. And then over time, they invent reasons as to why they cannot meet in person. They're working overseas, serving in the military, or stuck in another country. And then request money will follow right after that, right? Often framed as emergency or temporary need. So look out for that. And unfortunately, scammers can go on for months or even years, draining individuals' finances and leaving emotional scars. So let's talk through how these scams usually unfold because they follow pretty predictable patterns. They often start with an initial contact, often through online dating sites or social media, but can also come through random emails or even text messages where the scammer reaches out and starts a conversation. Next comes a relationship building. The scammers, they are very attentive. They message you frequently, expressing strong uh, emotions quickly, and often telling you they feel a deep connection. And they will say all the right things to build trust and create a sense of intimacy. Of course, what comes next then comes excuses for distance. They claim they are working abroad, or as we stated earlier, or military, or an oil rig. Some reasons why they can't meet in person or talk on the phone or video chat. So if all they want to do is text or email, be very leery of that. So once they've built that enough trust, then comes the ask. They claim there's an emergency, a medical bill, traveling expense, lost wallet, and they will ask you to send money. If you do, the request will continue to grow. So that's a telltale sign. They may start small and then, they just increase gradually. So be very mindful of that. Finally, there's a continued exploitation. Once they know you're willing to send money, they will keep finding reason to ask for more. In some cases, victims have been drained of all their life savings. Um, so just we want to be mindful of that. So what's the bottom line? Scammers are masters at using emotional manipulation to take advantage of us. So we must be very careful. So, signs of romance scams. How can you recognize romance scams before it goes on too far? First, the scammers often push for messages through text, Facebook, WhatsApp, or another app, and they try to move the conversation off the dating sites quickly, where it's less monitored. They also usually avoid video calls or in-person meetings. They will always have an excuse, and the camera is broken. They're too busy, or they're working on abroad. In fact, an example, I happened to pass by in the house by the TV, and I was watching Dr. Phil. There was a lady being scammed that way from another country, and she keeps sending money, and her kids keep trying to tell her it's not real. But she came, she was so connected that she emptied out all her life savings. So we want to watch out for that. Um, you often hear about emergencies or personal tragedies. That's how they can get you to send the money. They would say they lost a loved one, they had an accident, they need money for medical bills. These emotional stories are designed to create urgency and sympathy. So, um, but we can continue to fund, to send them money. Um, Another big thing is they ask money to be sent via wire transfer, as we talked earlier, or gift cards. That way it's not trackable. So be very mindful and leery of those things. And the scammers often, this is a really good one. They often use a professional looking photos or stock images. Uh, if something seems too perfect, try doing reverse image searching. And many of these photos are stolen from another place online. So as we said earlier, you'll be surprised what type of trails they lead. In some cases, scammers may even ask you to send money or give them access to your bank account so they can handle something for you. Of course, we all know that that's a huge red flag and it's dangerous. All right. So here are a few simple but very effective tips to help protect yourself and to help protect our loved ones. All right. First, we want to limit personal information we share online. Scammers often build their approach using the details you post publicly on social media or dating sites. Talk about new relationship with trusted friend or family members. If something feels off, getting another perspective can help us spot red flags um, that we might miss when we are so emotionally involved. Um, I also use a reverse image, like we talked about earlier, search to verify photos. Okay. I never send money or personal information to someone you have not met in person, no matter how strong the relationship may feel online. Another one is set your social media accounts on private and use available spam filters, which helps limit the chances that scammers will find and target you. Okay. Another important one is ask for video chat early on when you first have these conversations. If the person always has an excuse or not showing their face on the camera, that's a big red flag because scammers often rely on fake photos or avoid any interaction that could reveal their true identity. Um, if you remember just one thing, take your time when building a new online relationship. Scammers count on emotions taking over. Slow. That's it. All right. There's also another heartbreaking area that scammers use, which is the grandparent and family emergency scams. One of the most emotionally manipulative scams out there, right? So this scam specifically target, of course, older adults, especially grandparents, by using fear, urgency to trick them into sending money. Here's how they typically work. They typically the scammers will call or message pretending to be a grandchild or another close family member. Sometimes they pose as a police officer as well, lawyer, doctors, or calling on a family member's behalf. Um, well, they would claim an emergency, an accident, or arrest, or medical situation, and say that money is urgently needed. We all know that if you get arrested, you don't need money immediately, even if it's emergency room. Any of the things that I mentioned, you don't need funds immediately for those. My one of my rules is you can wait 24 hours for anything before you make a decision. So make sure you utilize that. Of course, the scammer will often beg the victim not to tell anyone. So why would they do that? Saying, please don't tell mom or dad, or I'm so embarrassed, I just need help. No, those are red flags, okay? And today's scammers are getting more sophisticated. They use personal information from social media. So, and then even one of the things is that AI generated voice sounds that sounds exactly like the victim that is calling. Okay, so let's take a look at how they usually work. Again, they pose as a family member or someone in authority. It might sound like your grandchild, as we just talked about on the phone, or it could be someone calling from a police officer. And then they will claim crisis. The story usually involves an arrest, an accident, a medical emergency, or any urgent situation. So if it's urgent and they need money, yeah, and you know your family better than anyone else, and you know when something is right or off. So use your instincts for that. um they always demand secrecy, saying please don't tell mom or dad, claiming the gag order or legal reasons you can't talk to anyone about it. So again, be mindful of that. But then comes the pressure. They push for money quickly, often saying they need bail, legal fees, or medical expenses covered immediately. Again, create your own personal rule, how long you want to wait before you part with your money, right? Or who you're going to connect with, who's your trusted resource. One of the biggest advice that I will give today is that create a list of trusted resources. If something happens to me, who can I trust to go to and run this by to let me know that okay, is this legitimate or not? And then how long, and then also set the precedent now. Who can I call? Who can I connect with? And then how long must I wait before I send people money? Okay. Um, of course, you will also hear requests for odd forms of payment, such as gift cards, wire transfers, like we said earlier. If it's not trackable, I'm not dealing with, parting with my money, right? Um, and here's what makes this scam particularly dangerous. It often sounds very convincing. Scammers do their work. They may use personal details pulled from social media or even AI tools to mimic a loved one's voice. So be very, very leery of that. So that's why it's very, very important to stay calm and verify before taking action, no matter how urgent or emotion the call may feel. Again, one of the things I say is set your standard, okay? If anything, if somebody asking me for money, what do I want to do? What type of steps do I want to take? Who do I want to connect with first? And how long do I want to wait? Those are important preventative measures, okay? Signs of grandparent scam. Uh, how can we recognize that this type of scam in the moment when emotions are running high? Of course, they know that we love our family, so they're going to prey on that. Uh, so first, the scam almost always start with sudden emergency involving family member, and then the second one, the next one is there's a pressure to act fast. We talked about that. Um, and then watch out for unusual payment requests, as we talked about earlier. Um, you know, if it's a gift card, crypto, or wire, some things that are not traceable, those are big red flags. You know, you also often hear vague statements. It's me, your grandson, with using without using a name right away. So one of the things, because again, just what there is take a breath, take a deep breath and say, okay, does this really sound like my grandson? Does this really sound like my daughter? So those are the kind of things that we want to be prepared for. Another sign of the story may escalate. It may start with a major injury or quickly turn into a fatal accident or major legal trouble. So just look out for that as well. If you hear any of these red flags, stop, slow down, and verify. A quick call to another family member can help you, can save you from becoming a victim. All right, let's continue. Go with some simple actions that can make you or your loved ones much harder to fall for this. Pause, as we talked earlier. Don't act on emotion. These scammers are designed to trigger panic, so you'll react quickly. Take a breath and stop, and you just look back and say, okay, what are the tools that I want to use in order before I make this decision? Who do I want to call? How do I verify? So those are some of the things that you want to consider. Next, verify the situation. Call the family member, as I just stated. And a great tip is usually a family code word. This is something you and your loved ones agree on ahead of time. If a person calls claiming to be a family member in trouble, ask them for the code word. Um, if they can't provide it, you know it's a scam. Also, avoid unusual payment methods. We talked about that earlier. Limited personal information online. Those are the biggest things that we want to make sure. And remember, don't trust caller ID. Scammers can usually spoof phone number to make it look like they are coming from someone you know and trust in the organization. The best advice is simple. When in doubt, verify first, act second. The one habit that can that's that's the one habit that can stop the scam checks. All right, so what are some of the takeaways for today? Um, Scammers exploit trust, urgency, and emotions. They want you to panic or feel sympathy. They'll act before. So you'll act before you think you can think clearly. Second, remember that fraud can happen to anywhere online, by phone, through text messages, or even in person. Staying aware is your best defense. A big one is never send money or share personal information with unverified source. Once it's gone, it's very, very difficult to recover. Also, no legitimate organization will ask for payment in gift cards or cryptocurrencies or wires, things that cannot be tracked. And if something feels off, slow down, as we stated earlier, and verify before taking action. Trust your instincts. It's better to pause and check than to regret moving too quickly. And finally, when in doubt, consult someone you trust before responding to any unexpected request for money or information. Just talking it through with family member or friend can often stop scammers before it goes far. So these simple habits can go a long way in protecting yourself and your loved ones. All right, so what to do if you suspect a scam? First, in all communication with suspected scammer, don't reply, don't call back, don't click on any link that they send. Next, don't send any money or share any further information. Even if you already sent something, stop immediately and don't engage further. Um, and Also report the incident to appropriate authorities. For most scammers, that means the FTC, report fraud, ftc.gov. If you're unsure, contact your local police department for guidance and contact your financial institution right away. If you bank with USSFCU and think your account or personal info may have been compromised, call us immediately. And we have our number which is 800-374-2758. We're here to help to protect your account and guidance on next steps. I will give you an example. I had a member that did that a couple of weeks ago. I was so happy. She recognized this was not right after she gave him the information. As she called us, as we were blocking her account, they were literally trying to take it. So you can act, that's when you can react really quickly, saying, you know what, something, I gave them some information, but I'm not sure. And we would be more than happy to guide you through this. Finally, notify the credit agencies and set up a fraud alert. This adds an extra layer of protection on your credit file in case any identity theft attempts to follow the scam. Again, sometimes if they don't take your money, they take your information and they slowly attempt to maybe apply for credit or anything like that. Okay. Remember, if you suspect a scam, act quickly. Reporting it can help you protect not just yourself, but others as well. I also want to remind everyone your security is our top priority at USSFCU. We will never ever contact you to request sensitive information. That includes your credit card number, member number, social security number, date of birth, or your online banking login or PIN. In fact, we have very, very strict rules. We never know what the member's PIN number is. Whenever we set password, we always make sure it's something that they have to do independently. And if you ever receive a message, text, or a phone call asking for any of this information, do not respond, do not click any links, and do not call back. Instead, contact us directly at 800-374-2758 so we can verify whether the message was legitimate. It's always better to be safe and double check with us. So of course, we are here to help you. I want to close today by reminding you that you're not alone in this. One of the things I love about credit unions and being here for being in credit unions for over 30 years is our members are our family. It's like extended family, and they still bring us joy to be able to take care of you in the time of your need. So we're here to help. Our team is here to help protect you and your finances. You can call us at any time. We also have the services email that we manage effectively. And speaking of any questions, so we would much rather have you check with us first than risk falling victim to any of these scams. And remember, when it comes to fraud, there is no silly question, so you can call us anytime. And speaking of questions, let's open it up, Carrie. If you have anything you would like to ask or clarify, this is a great time to do so.
Thank you, Rahel. So, yes, if anyone has any questions for Rahel while we have her, or for me and general fraud practices, all that stuff, please throw them in the chat and I'll get started. I have one question so far, Rahel, that I'm sure that you can answer. Can I be added as a trusted contact to my parents' account at USSFCU? Can you do that?
So there are different ways you can do that. One is you can be a joint on an account. So they can make you a joint an account or a trusted contact. Another one that we see often is as a power of attorney. Um, and they can add you as a power of attorney. And then we can notate and then they say, hey, this is just as a trusted contact if you have any information. So you'll be able to handle some of these for them.
So would the member have to call the credit union to initiate that process?
Yes, they do. Of course, because we don't want to give access to anybody to their account. So yes, we want the member to call. We're going to authenticate the member to ensure they are who they are before we hand the information to someone else, right?
Do you need the trusted contact social security number, any other official paperwork to get them added?
Yes, so official paperwork is a must on both cases. If they so, one of the things I often advise older members is that put a trusted person. It can be a child, it can be, a close family member. They have an option to add them as a joint. That way they can act on their behalf on anything. They can act as themselves. And so we have a membership application to add those as joint. And then we require an ID from both the member and the individual that's wanting to be added, and we'll process accordingly with that. And when it comes to the power of attorney, is the same way. So we have power of attorney forms at the credit union where they can say, if you don't have an attorney to draw out a power of attorney form, you can come and request for one, and as there are specific tasks that your parent can authorize you to do for them. And then we will be sure to do that. Again, we'll also require IDs and social security numbers so that we can authenticate you to ensure that you are who you are before we give you access to individuals' money.
Thank you, Rahel.
Mm.
One more. Af If a scammer already withdrew funds from my account, what can the credit union do to help me?
Contact us immediately, and we have different type of sources to do. One of my actually my team, my team is partially responsible for that. We will ask you some questions, and we will forward the incident to our risk management department. We can assist you with fraud alerts. We can assist you with an attempting to get your money back as well.
All right. Thank you, Rahel. Well, I don't see any more questions. But thank you so much. I liked, so my dad is 81, and on Sunday it's World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, and obviously also Father's Day. I love that tip that you said, just call my daughter. I'm gonna tell my dad that. My dad doesn't really answer. He's pretty negative and skeptical of everything, which I like for the most part. But I like that. Just call my daughter. I
Yeah,
already
she
see
hangs up on everybody. Said, call my daughter, and then calls me and tell me about it. So
Yes. Well, thank you so much, and thank you to all of our members for joining us today.
thank
Next,
you.
yes, and next week the whole team will be back, and we will be talking about annuities. So that is
All
at
right.
us. Yeah. So
And how to protect your annuity, right?
yes.
Now you know how to protect it, right?
Yes, and that one will be at 3 p.m. instead of 6 p.m. presented by Michael Schimmel. So I hope y'all will join us for that one and have a wonderful weekend. Oh, thank you, Mr. Wong, and thanks, Miss Wilson.
Yeah, thank you. And happy Father's Day to fathers.
Yes, and we'll see you next time. Thank you all.